In 1902, Georges Méliès, a French illusionist and filmmaker known as a technical innovator in cinema, famously crashed a spaceship into the face of the moon. Soon these types of practical and special effects were not enough for audiences. Early motion pictures incorporated stunts, with the first airplane being used as early as 1905. Footage of actors performing as pilots was recorded on a soundstage and cut with wide shots of planes flying in the sky. Actors like Buster Keaton found fame by performing increasingly complex stunts, often risking their own health and safety for the success of the film, and because the studios did not want to hire a stunt performer in addition to the actor. He broke his neck performing this stunt for the film Sherlock Jr. For as long as the film industry has existed, there have been accidents, and while laws and practices have significantly changed, accidents continue to occur. The culture of cast and crew putting the production before their own safety contributes to the causes of accidents, as well as their underreporting. An Associated Press report claimed that between 1990 and 2016, at least 43 people died and over 150 received life-altering injuries on film or television sets in the United States alone. Accidents can occur to anyone on a film set, whether they are stunt performers, actors, or any position on the crew. While some positions are more likely to have risks associated with their jobs, the dynamic nature of the set, large physical effort of many crew members, and the high-stress environment contributes to accidents on sets being common for everyone involved. In their article, Failure Mapping for Occupational Safety Management in the Film and Television Industry, Barbosa Santos, Rebula de Oliveira, and Martins Roca ask, what are the main failures in the process of the film and television industry, and how can they be identified, evaluated, and mitigated? In their case study, they analyze the work of a film and television producer in Brazil who uses different risk identification and management tools, and then created an action plan to prevent risks. The entertainment industry is so varied in the types of jobs that occur to make a film or television show that it can be thought of as a microcosm of all other industries and the occupational risks they entail. There are several ways that the industry has attempted to mitigate risk on set, including the General Code of Safe Practices for Production created by the industry-wide Labor Management Safety Committee, and the series of safety bulletins and guidelines that they have subsequently released. The new product development and pre-production planning steps of the filming process are the least likely to have failures because the work involved is about creating and planning. Preparing the set has a medium probability for accidents. Filming has the highest likelihood of accidents due to the nature of the work activities and the stress of the cast and crew, and post-production has a low-risk probability. Pre-production for filming a scene, either on a soundstage or on location, is extensive, with crew members from various departments such as production, direction, special effects, and set design visiting the location to prepare. During filming, crew follow a Taylorist industrial logic, which is defined as a method where each worker has their own distinctive assignment of a subtask or routine. Since the year 2000, there have been numerous accidents on film and television sets in the United States, many of which ended in serious injuries or death. The following study investigates individual accidents, classifies the job function, and the type of human error based on human factors theory. The three types are overload, inappropriate response, or inappropriate activities. This is not a comprehensive list, since many accidents go undocumented. Other accidents are documented in OSHA, but do not have media coverage that identifies what set they were working on or any other details from the full OSHA report. These accidents all occurred in the United States on sets of films or television shows that were aired or released since 2000 and have investigations that have been closed. Dinosaur, 2000. While filming Dinosaur, a camera boom hit a power line and electrocuted 2 crew members, killing one and severely injuring another. The boom had suddenly risen 40 feet into the air while it was being set up, possibly because it did not have the proper counterweight. The production company was cited by OSHA for not preventing an accident by working too close to power lines. Job function, crew, set. Type of error, inappropriate activities. X-Files, 2000. 6 people who were working on scaffolding on the Fox studio lot while setting up the set and pre-production for the television show The X-Files were electrocuted, causing 1 fatality and various levels of injuries. The OSHA investigation summary stated that there was a crew of 9 rigging grips who were assembling a patent scaffolding system 1.2 meters below and 305 millimeters to the side of a 4800-volt overhead power line. 2 employees were sitting at the top of the second level of the scaffolding, installing an upright bar when it tilted and fell into the power line. An ABC News report stated that the scaffolding should not have been set up close to the power lines, and if the crew had to set up in that location, they could have called utility workers to move the lines, which was not done. Job function, crew, set. Type of human error, inappropriate activities. Pearl Harbor, 2001. A stunt pilot was left with a broken wrist and lacerations, as well as a totaled airplane, after crashing the plane he was flying into a coconut tree during filming for scenes in the movie Pearl Harbor. The NTSB investigation found that during the shot, there were 3 replica VAL planes making a low pass, with the 3 planes stacked above each other. The third plane struck a palm tree, severing the wing, rolling twice, and descending into the ground. The pilot reported that the smoke effects used in the production were not an issue for him, but that there was turbulence from the flight leader. The pilot was wearing a 5-point restraint system and helmet when he crashed. Job function, stunts, pilot. Type of human error, overload. Spider-Man, 2002. Several employees were working on the constructing of a set for the film Spider-Man. The set was a building facade with large steel frame signs hung up on it. The sign involved in the accident weighed 1,800 pounds and measured 15 feet wide by 30 feet long. It was being lifted into position on a forklift with a shop-made extension attached to the forks, so it was a makeshift crane. The extension was ordered to be made by the welding foreman based off a truss he had seen used in the past. It moved the center of gravity forward and did not meet the standard load chart requirements. To handle the load, the boom was fully extended and at an angle of 60 degrees or more. The load was being lifted into place, and the forklift was being followed by an elevated platform that held 2 welders who were assigned to weld the sign to the facade. In the path of the forklift was a 4-inch curb. When the forklift went over it, with the right wheel going up first, it tipped to the left, which shifted the load and caused the forklift to tip over. The boom fell into the basket of the elevated platform and hit a crew member, Tim Holcomb, in the head, partially decapitating him and killing him. The production company was fined by Cal OSHA for the improper modification to the forklift, lack of fall protection such as safety harnesses for the welders, having more than 1 employee in the basket while it was moving, employees not being trained on load charts, and no forklift rules poster being posted. Job function, crew, set. Type of human error, inappropriate activities. Crossbones, 2004. While flying over the Dry Tortugas to film scenes for the horror film Crossbones, the plane that carried crew members and the cinematographer, Neil Fredericks, lost power to the engine. The pilot ditched the plane, and he and the passengers exited, except for the cinematographer, who had tied himself to the seat with a rope prior to takeoff, since the cargo door had been removed for the filming. Neither he nor the passengers were able to free him, and he drowned. Job function, crew, camera. Type of human error, inappropriate response. Charlie Wilson's War, 2007. While testing special effects for the film Charlie Wilson's War on set at Downey Studios, a prop missile made out of cardboard and black powder exploded inside of a handheld device consisting of a steel cylinder, wooden rifle stock, and 9-volt battery. 2 special effects professionals were working on it, but there was no fire safety officer present, and the fire department was not notified of the testing. Both crew members were seriously injured and had to undergo surgery. Job function, crew, special effects. Type of human error, inappropriate response. The Final Season, 2007. Cameraman Roland Slotzauer was killed in a helicopter crash, and the pilot and other passengers were seriously injured while filming scenes of a car traveling down the highway. The helicopter was traveling at about 50 to 60 miles per hour at an altitude of 30 to 50 feet above the ground. The helicopter ran into power lines that were perpendicular to the road at about 50 feet off the ground. Then it crashed into the ground. Job function, crew, camera. Type of human error, inappropriate response. Live Free or Die Hard, 2007. While filming a stunt for a scene in the film Live Free or Die Hard, Bruce Willis's stunt double, Larry Rippenkroger, was knocked unconscious and fractured his arms and face after falling to the pavement from a fire escape 3 stories high. The OSHA accident report found that he was on a fixed vertical ladder that had been installed specifically for the stunt and was secured to the exterior of a building. The scene had been previously rehearsed and was performed successfully. At the time of the accident, the cast and crew were focused on other tasks and were not focused on the ladder. Job function, stunts, performer. Type of human error, overload. Transformers: Dark of the Moon, 2011. Gabriela Cedillo, an extra driving a car in the background for a scene in the Transformers movie, was seriously injured and left paralyzed during filming. There were 3 flatbed trucks and 2 stunt cars driving in the opposite direction as Cedillo at over 50 miles per hour. One of the trucks was pulling a stunt car with steel cables. A metal bracket that was welded to hold the cable to the truck broke loose, flew over the median, shattered through the windshield, and struck Cedillo in the head. Indiana OSHA found that the welder was certified and all necessary precautions were in place, and called it an unfortunate and unforeseeable accident. While an OSHA investigation did not find the production company, a lawsuit alleged that the welding was done poorly and on the fly. The stunt had been attempted the day before, but it had failed, so they tried a new tactic with 2 additional vehicles. The suit was settled out of court. Job function, extra. Type of human error, inappropriate activities. The Avengers, 2012. Stuntman Jerry Fitzgerald received a serious head injury in a stunt that was performed incorrectly while filming The Avengers. He was supposed to get hit with an arrow and fall 30 feet off of a building, but instead caught his foot on the way down and hit his head on the side of the building, sliding down it and scraping his scalp. It was a minor injury, and he continued working. Job function, stunts, performer. Type of human error, overload. Django Unchained, 2012. Actor Leonardo DiCaprio was injured while filming a scene for Django Unchained in which he repeatedly slams his hand on the table. He hit a glass which broke and cut his hand. It was the 6th take of the scene and had not happened in the other takes. Job function, cast. Type of human error, overload. The Good Wife, 2012. A part of a lighting rig landed on actress Kristen Chenoweth and injured her on the set of The Good Wife. The lighting was blown off a truss by a gust of wind, hit Chenoweth, who fell to the ground and hit her head on the concrete. Witnesses said that the area was known for high winds. Chenoweth said in an interview that she suffered a skull fracture, cracked teeth, broken ribs, and was knocked unconscious. Job function, cast. Type of human error, inappropriate response. Premium Rush, 2012. While filming a bicycle riding scene for the film Premium Rush, actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt crashed and was injured. In an interview with E! News, the actor claimed that the director and crew were very safety conscious, but a diplomat drove through the blockade of cones and cop cars and double-parked where the bicycle stunt was taking place. Gordon-Levitt crashed through the rear window of a parked taxi and received lacerations to his arms. Job function, cast. Type of human error, inappropriate response. G.I. Joe Retaliation, 2013. Crew members were disassembling walls from the set of G.I. Joe 2 Retaliation using a scissor lift. The driver of the lift, Mike Huber, went down the 15-degree ramp that was 4 feet wide by approximately 23 feet long. The scissor lift bottomed out on the top of the ramp and got caught on the guardrail. Other crew members removed the guardrail to dislodge the lift. The driver moved the lift forward again but drove off the ramp, dropping 5 feet to the concrete floor. The crew member hit his head and was killed. OSHA cited the production company for improper training and not meeting additional requirements applicable to specific types of scaffolds. Job function, crew, set. Type of human error, inappropriate response. Lone Ranger, 2013. Michael Bridger, a diver on the set of Lone Ranger, drowned while cleaning a water tank to be used for a later scene. Bridger was wearing scuba gear in a tank that was approximately 100 feet by 80 feet and 25 feet deep, and operating a vacuum to clear debris and enhance the clarity of the water for filming. A second diver was assigned as a buddy diver to work in the tank at the same time, but he had left for approximately 10 minutes. When he came back, he noticed that there were no air bubbles from the scuba gear on the surface. He entered the tank to rescue Bridger, but he had already drowned. Cal-OSHA found that the production company violated several safety protocols, including not offering adequate training and documentation of dives, leaving the diver alone, failing to have an employee trained in CPR, and not requiring divers to submit recent medical evaluations. Bridger has suffered a heart attack while working. Job function, crew, diver. Type of human error, inappropriate response. Midnight Rider, 2014. About 20 crew members were working on filming a dream sequence for Midnight Rider, the Greg Allman story, on an active train trestle with cameras, other filming equipment, and a hospital bed set up the tracks to make up the set. When the train was approaching, it whistled, and crew members scrambled to get off, but there was not enough time or a safe way to get off the trestle for everyone. 9 crew members were huddled on one side of the trestle on a metal walkway platform. The director, Randall Miller, and the still photographer tried to get the bed off the tracks, but were unsuccessful. The train struck the bed, sending pieces flying, which hit the crew members, seriously injuring many, and causing one to be pulled into the train. Sarah Jones, the second camera assistant, received multiple fatal injuries in the accident. Miller had fallen on the tracks, but the photographer had pulled him off and saved his life. Hairdresser Joyce Gilliard shattered her arm when the pressure and wind from the passing train ripped it away from where she was clinging, and it hit the train. Subsequent investigations, including criminal and civil trials, showed that the crew was denied the required permission from the railroad company, CSX, to film on the track. They were expecting 2 trains to pass, but a third one appeared, and the crew only had 1 minute to clear the area. Miller pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter, served 1 year in jail, and was sentenced to 10 years probation. The first assistant director, Hilary Schwartz, was also sentenced to 10 years probation. Wrongful death settlements were reached with the family of Sarah Jones and the producers of the film, as well as CSX, who did not alert the trains to the crew being on the tracks, even though 2 trains had already seen them. Job function, crew, camera, crew, hair. Type of human error, inappropriate response. Shooter, 2016. Actor Tom Sizemore entered a vehicle on the set of the television series Shooter and was supposed to stay there until the scene was over, but instead started driving the sport utility vehicle away, running over and dragging a stuntman who was laying on the ground after a shootout scene. Steve DeCastro, the stuntman, was left with fractures in his wrist and forearm, bone and tissue damage, and 100 stitches in his forehead. The vehicle was not supposed to move, but it was left running so the actors inside would still have air conditioning. Paramount Pictures, the studio producing the series, conducted an internal investigation that they provided to Cal-OSHA. The report stated that the scene was rehearsed several times before filming, and that the actors had attended a safety briefing the previous day. OSHA did not investigate, since the stuntman was an independent contractor, not a studio employee. A lawsuit by DeCastro was settled. Job function, stunts, performer. Type of human error, inappropriate response. The Walking Dead, 2017. Stuntman John Bernicker was killed when he fell more than 20 feet off a balcony and onto the concrete floor while filming a scene for The Walking Dead. He suffered a serious head injury after flipping over a rail and landing on his head. According to court documents in a suit filed against AMC, he had directed the placement of pads on the ground where he expected to fall, but missed landing on them. Attorneys in the wrongful death suit filed by Bernicker's parents claimed that he was distracted because the other actor in the scene pushed him unexpectedly. The parents alleged that AMC did not provide adequate cushioning below the balcony, did not ensure that the scene was rehearsed, and did not have an ambulance on site. The OSHA report stated that Bernicker misplaced his hand at the start of the fall, putting him off-center and causing him to miss the landing pad. Job function, stunts, performer. Type of human error, overload. SWAT 2018. Kenny Johnson, an actor on the television series SWAT, was injured after performing a stunt. The stunt involved him hanging from the helicopter and being pulled through the air as he was holding on to the landing gear. Wind from a powerful fan was blowing on him to simulate a high speed of motion through the air. Johnson was wearing heavy gear, and the metal bar he was holding onto was hot from sitting in the sun. Other crew members tried to cool it with ice, but did not wipe up the water, causing it to be slippery. A lawsuit against Sony Pictures Television claimed that they knew the stunt scene would involve an unreasonable and ultra-hazardous risk of harm, and ignored risks to not proceed with the stunt or to modify the safety precautions. Job function, cast. Type of human error, inappropriate activities. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, 2019. James Emswiller, a 61-year-old sound technician for the film A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, had a heart attack and fell off a balcony during filming. He was taking a smoke break between scenes on the second day of filming. He fell 12 feet to the ground and fractured his skull. Job function, crew, sound. Type of human error, overload. The Dirt, 2019. A crew member dismantling rigging for a green screen on the set of The Dirt was electrocuted while working on the rooftop of a filming location. A representative for Netflix stated that there were safety protocols in place, but the crew member still was injured. According to the lawsuit that the crew member, Louis DiVincenzi, filed against Netflix and Motley Crue, as well as the OSHA report, he was handing down metal pipes to other crew members when one of the pipes slipped from his hand and made contact with an electrical power line. He received third-degree burns to 50% of his body, required a partial amputation on his foot, and had to get multiple surgeries and skin grafts. The production company was fined for having employees working around electricity. Crew, set. Type of human error, inappropriate response. LA's Finest, 2019. An unmanned Maserati was being used as a stunt car for a scene in the television show LA's Finest. It was being pulled westbound by a cable at the same time as a manned SUV was driving southbound at 45 miles per hour. The Maserati was pulled in front of the SUV, and they collided intentionally as the stunt called for. However, the Maserati shifted its course and continued traveling into an empty shipping container that was sitting on uneven ground. It bounced in the air and crashed into Video Village, the area where monitors are set up to watch the scene being filmed. The vehicle landed on the series' co-showrunners Brandon Margulis and Brandon Saunier, injuring them both. Margulis was shortly released from the hospital after treatment to his injuries, but Saunier's injuries required an amputation of one of his legs below the knee. Job function, crew, showrunner. Type of human error, inappropriate response. The previous case study is not a comprehensive list of every accident in the film and television industry. However, the examples demonstrate trends in the types of jobs that have more risk on set, as well as the causes of the accidents based on human factors theory. Overload describes a situation where the action exceeds the person's abilities. Inappropriate response covers actions such as knowing about hazards but not doing anything about it, removing safeguards, or ignoring safety rules. And inappropriate activities cover situations where the person is not trained for the job being performed, or on how to do it appropriately, safely, and efficiently. There were 6 instances of overload, 11 of inappropriate response, and 5 of inappropriate activities. The jobs with the most accidents in this case study were set crew with 5, stunt performers with 4, and cast with 4, followed closely by camera crew with 3. These do not account for the number of people in each job function for each accident. For example, Midnight Rider had multiple people in the camera crew that were injured. It also does not account for the severity of the accident. The study was limited to accidents in the U.S. between 2000 and the present, with investigations that have been closed. Journalists like David Robb have found that helicopter crashes have taken the most lives on film and television sets, and that camera crew outnumber stunt personnel 4-1 in on-set deaths. In the smaller scope of this case study, you do see a trend in crew members of various job types being involved in accidents more often than stunt performers. There were 17 instances of crew member involvement in accidents in the 22 accidents. The number is inflated by the presence of multiple positions involved in the Midnight Rider accident. Film and television sets are dynamic places with numerous people performing many different and complex jobs. Rehearsal and training are pivotal to risk management and safety on set, but this case study demonstrates that adherence to safety rules, mitigating hazards, and maintaining safeguards are vital.